Hello FIGGIE fiends and collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000. Finally, back, sat down to do a Lord of the Rings Toybiz figure review. And today, we're moving away from the baddies a little bit. So today, we're going to have a look at a goodie. And main protagonist of The Hobbit, none other than Bilbo Baggins. Unfortunately, I don't have the packaging, so I can't really run through that with you physically. What I can tell you is there's a couple of variants, in that this was packed in the green One Ring style packaging and the red One Ring style packaging. Not only that, this was re-released onto a blister card, albeit missing the Hobbit door, unfortunately. So, with packaging out of the way and done with, let's take a look at the figure itself.
I've thought up an ending for my book. And he lived happily ever after, to the end of his days.
And I'm sure you will, my dear friend.
Goodbye, Gandalf.
Goodbye, dear Bilbo.
So, here we have Bilbo Baggins, and I have to say, this is a really lovely figure set. Not only do you get the figure, but you get this nice little diorama piece to display him in front of. If we just remove him off that though, and we take a look at the figure itself, what a fantastically sculpted little figure this is. I think the likeness for the time is really good and accurate to the actor. I love the dry brushing and the detailing they've picked out on the hair, the sculpt work on the face as well. You can see his little hobbit ears and that cheeky smile. I particularly love the rosy cheeks that they've picked out on the figure as well. Of course, he's wearing a green coat. Just underneath that, you've got the red undersuit there as well, and the white shirt. Interestingly enough as well, the backpack is sculpted onto the figure, so unfortunately that isn't removable, but is a great way to store a lot of the accessories. And this figure does come with a lot of accessories, of which we will run through shortly. Just moving around, you can kind of see a bit of weathering just on the coat itself at the bottom, and moving around you can see the hobbit feet as well, which has the hairs picked out. Really awesome stuff, and just overall a neat figgy. Now, in terms of the accessories that this comes with, he's got his long walking stick, of which he does hold relatively well. This is painted quite nicely, and it's got a bit of a dry brushing effect on that, just to pick out the wooden details. He also comes with the Mithril armour, of which he does give to Frodo in the film. Unfortunately, he can't wear that, but it is a very soft, rubbery piece of plastic, picked out with some gold, and some very nice chainmailing sort of effect as well. Really nice. Just a cool little bonus accessory. Not only that, if we just move around to the back, his backpack, as I did mention, stores a lot of accessories. So first and foremost, you've got this little cooking pot, of which attaches just within this clasp. If I can try and get that off, it's a little bit fragilio. But you can actually unbutton that, and you can remove the cooking pot. It is two separate pieces, so it can come attached from the actual handle. And then if you just lift the actual flap of the bag up, you've got Sting, the sword, which is really nicely sculpted, very nicely detailed as well, and a cool little inclusion, a little nod as well to the Hobbit. And he comes with this sort of blanket, mat kind of thing for him to sleep on during his adventures, which is quite cool, and that just rolls up. It's a very sort of gummy type of plastic. I can see this potentially fraying over time, so it might be worth just being careful with that. I don't tend to have this sort of out on display. It is more so stored upon the figure itself, but you can just roll it up. And then not only that, inside the bag stores the book that he's currently working on, of which, as we all know, is The Hobbit. If I can get that out, it is quite tight in there. You can just slide this out, and you've got this very beautiful little book. And it does actually open up. There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins. So that's really sweet. It is, again, a little bit fragile because that is paper, I believe, that is used to clasp, allow that to open and shut. and it's stuck onto plastic. But what a really neat little feature they've included. Nice little bit of detailing on that as well in terms of the pages, and the actual cover itself is really well sculpted. And the fact that you can store it inside the bag is just a lovely little touch. So yeah, the fact that you can install the accessories onto the figure as well just really does sell it as a travelling Bilbo. It does what it says on the tin, doesn't it? Now, of course, the last accessory that this figure comes with is, as I mentioned, the diorama piece, of which is absolutely gorgeous. I love stuff like this. It just really adds to your displays and gives them a different dimension and really brings out character from your figures, particularly with one like this, of which Toybiz could have redone something extremely basic, just released the figure on its own, even without the amount of accessories that they included with it, and tried to cash to make a quick buck. But no, instead they included a load of accessories and also included this really quite sturdy, chunky little back display, of which is the door to his hobbit hole. Now if we're just going close to that, you can see some of the sort of fake grass effect that's overhanging on some of that wooden board. You've got the bricks, the yellow as well, and the foliage just growing around that door, and of course the door handle as well, which unfortunately, you know, doesn't open the door itself. It would have been nice if there was a little bit of a hinge there to show some of the interior or a little insight into that, but it's no biggie that they didn't include it. I think this is just lovely enough. And then looking at the bottom, sadly there's no foot peg, as it would have been nice if they include that, because it is a little bit tough to get this figure to stand, and that's due to its articulation, of which I will get into shortly. But you've got this really lovely stone moss effect as well. And of course you've got some plants and flowers just on the door there. This is really, really sweet. You could really have some fun posing some characters in front of this, particularly of course Bilbo and Frodo, maybe even Gandalf. I think this is a lovely, lovely accessory. It does come in two parts, so of course that's for ease of storage in the packaging, but it just pegs in via 3 pegs there, and it's really easy to slot in. You can glue that if you did so wish, if you wanted to make it sturdier. Man, what a lovely little addition, and that's something I wish that, again, modern toy companies would sort of take a leaf out of the book from Toybiz. Just the sort of thought and time and care that they put into a lot of these figures is just something to be really commended. But anyways, back onto the figure itself, just to run through its articulation. Starting off, he does have a bit of a ball joint in the head, although it is very limited due to the hair and how the joint is situated. He's got ball jointed shoulders, although they are very limited, again due to the suit. He's got swivels in the forearms, swivels in the wrists. Sadly there's no articulation in the torso, but he does have swivel hips, so he can kick forward and backwards, and hinged knees with swivel ankles. Now it is worth noting the ankles are very much posed in a weird way, like almost he's walking, so it can be a little bit difficult to get him to stand, particularly with the limited articulation. But once you do get him posed up, he does look absolutely wonderful. I would say as well, it would have been nice if the arms were hinged rather than the awkward swivel joint that we see here, just because that would have made posability for some of the accessories a little bit better. Overall, this is just a lovely figure. I can't berate it because there's so much thought and attention to detail that Toybiz put into it. While it's not as action-packed as a lot of the other figures that the line has to offer, it's a nice little palette cleanser. And the diorama piece really does give you a slice of Hobbit life. If you are a Lord of the Rings fan or collector, this is one that I highly recommend. It's probably one of the standouts in the line for me, just because of those accessories, the thought, the details behind all of it. This could have been a really, really basic release, And Toybiz at the time thought, no, we're going to go all out on this one. The only thing that lets it down a little bit is just the articulation, but you kind of have to expect it due to the time that this was made, as it features the sort of standard joints that were lurking about during that time. Nonetheless though, let me know what you guys think. Did you pick this up back in the day? What do you make of it? Sound off in the comments down below. And while this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out. Thank you very much for watching.
Yakuza.